Just 2 minutes ago, the Vatican trembled as Pope Francis read out his last will, sending shockwaves through the Catholic world. Known for his transformative leadership and progressive reforms, this unexpected announcement has left priests and faithful alike grappling with its implications. As the spiritual leader's words echo within the sacred halls, questions arise about the Church's future direction. Will his vision endure, or will the next chapter mark a departure? In this video, let's explore how Pope Francis's final act is poised to reshape the narrative of modern Catholicism. Pope Francis's last will stirs the Vatican. The Vatican was sent into a frenzy as news surfaced about Pope Francis's alleged last will. In a candid revelation, the Pope disclosed that he had already signed a resignation letter to be used in case he becomes impaired by health issues or an accident. This extraordinary admission has ignited speculation across the globe, leaving many to question why he chose now to address his legacy so boldly. During the interview, Pope Francis explained, "I have already signed my renunciation if I should become impaired for medical reasons or whatever. Here is my renunciation." This admission comes during growing concerns about the Pope's health, as he has often been seen relying on a walking stick and, at times, a wheelchair due to persistent knee pain. His health struggles have also forced the cancellation of critical trips, including to the Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan, with doctors warning him to take extended periods of rest. Assumptions about Pope Francis's health aren't new. Even before his election, rumors swirled about his physical condition, including a claim that he was missing a lung, an effort to derail his candidacy during the conclave. These rumors gained traction recently when he underwent colon surgery, and again this year as he began appearing visibly frail, adding fuel to the fire. Pope Francis convened a rare meeting of cardinals shortly after announcing the creation of new cardinals during the consistory in August. While officially described as a review of his reforms to the Vatican's bureaucracy, many interpreted the gathering as preparation for a future transition. The image of the Pope wheelchair-bound and visiting the tomb of Celestine V, a pontiff known for his resignation, was a striking symbol not lost on observers. Beyond health concerns, Pope Francis has made it clear that his mission extends far beyond his personal legacy. He spoke passionately about reforming the Catholic Church's governance, including empowering the laity, promoting women in leadership roles, and rooting out corruption within Vatican finances. In his own words, there is nothing to prevent a woman from guiding a dicastery in which a layman can be a prefect. As he reflects on his decade-long papacy, Francis emphasized his commitment to making the Church more inclusive and transparent. However, with the confirmation of a resignation plan in place, many wonder if the groundwork for his departure is already being laid. For the Vatican, a resignation from Pope Francis would mark a historic moment, one that is bound to reshape the future of the Catholic Church. This revelation is just the beginning of the Vatican's tremors, and questions about who will take up the cloak loom larger than ever. Pope Francis's transformative legacy has been defined by a wide vision of change, tackling some of the most pressing issues of our time with courage and compassion. His progressive stance on social issues and commitment to environmental advocacy have reshaped how the Catholic Church interacts with a rapidly evolving world. The Pope has been an outspoken advocate for addressing the global climate crisis, warning of the devastating effects of climate change, from extreme weather patterns to the suffering of the world's most vulnerable populations. In his own words, we need to acknowledge that the environmental and social crises of our time are not two separate crises but one. Francis sees this environmental mission as rooted deeply in faith and has called upon leaders of all religions to unite in safeguarding creation. He recognizes the Industrial Revolution's mixed legacy of economic progress and environmental harm, emphasizing the Church's moral duty to address these challenges head-on. His leadership highlights the connection between protecting the environment and uplifting the impoverished, urging global cooperation to promote an integral ecology that respects both humanity and nature. Beyond environmental reform, Pope Francis has been a beacon of inclusivity. He has softened the Church's tone on homosexuality, stating that individuals should not be marginalized for their identity while maintaining traditional teachings on same-sex marriage. Similarly, he has called for greater involvement of women in the Church, praising their unique strengths and contributions. These gestures, while celebrated by many, have also drawn sharp criticism from conservative factions within the Vatican, who view his approach as destabilizing established norms. Francis's bold critique of the Vatican bureaucracy, which he described as plagued by spiritual Alzheimer's and cliques of gossip, further underscores his desire for structural reform. He has championed transparency and accountability, even as detractors accuse him of risking the Church's unity through what they see as overly progressive policies. Yet his focus remains resolute, whether addressing responsible family planning, condemning euthanasia as a false sense of compassion, or calling for global action on climate change. Francis has consistently framed these efforts as part of a broader moral and spiritual duty. Amid both acclaim and resistance, Pope Francis's transformative legacy continues to challenge traditional boundaries, leaving an indelible mark on the Catholic Church. This legacy will undoubtedly shape the institution's future as it navigates the delicate balance between tradition and modernity. Key to papal succession, in the heart of the Vatican within the iconic Sistine Chapel, a centuries-old tradition unfolds. When a pope passes away or steps down, the College of Cardinals, cloaked in secrecy and solemnity, gathers in conclave to chant Veni Creator Spiritus and elect the next leader of the Catholic Church. This sacred process, steeped in history, has defined the Church's future for over a millennium. It wasn't until 1179 under Pope Alexander III that the College of Cardinals was established as the exclusive body for this monumental task. Today, their decision will not only reflect the legacy of Pope Francis, but also set the trajectory for the Church's next chapter. Pope Francis has left an indelible mark on the College of Cardinals, appointing nearly two-thirds of its members during his tenure. These reform-minded cardinals, chosen from diverse backgrounds and regions, embody his vision of a more inclusive, transparent church. By prioritizing pastoral over doctrinal approaches, Francis has shifted the focus to addressing modern challenges like climate change, social justice, and sexual ethics. His appointees, shaped by these values, are likely to play a pivotal role in determining whether the Church continues along this progressive path or reverts to a more traditional stance. The Pope's leadership style has also been transformative. From the very beginning of his papacy, Francis emphasized humility and connection, breaking from the more distant image of his predecessors. His public confession of sins, a deeply humanizing act, set the tone for his tenure. He reformed Vatican structures, including creating an advisory council of cardinals and demanding accountability within the Vatican Bank. His actions signaled a church willing to confront its flaws while embracing its role as a moral compass in a rapidly changing world. As the next conclave approaches, the direction of the Church hangs in the balance. Will it continue Francis's legacy of inclusivity and reform, or will it pivot back to conservatism under a new leader? With the College of Cardinals bearing his unmistakable influence, the outcome is yet to be determined. The Church stands at a crossroads, its future resting in the hands of those trusted to carry forward his vision or redefine it entirely. A leading candidate in the heart of Manila, where faith intertwines with everyday life, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle has become a symbol of hope and renewal in the Catholic Church. Known for his genuine humility, sharp intellect, and ability to connect with people of all backgrounds, Tegel's journey from a devoted Catholic household to one of the most influential roles in the Church has been remarkable. As a former Archbishop of Manila and the current prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, his influence has extended far beyond the Philippines. His alignment with Pope Francis's vision of inclusivity, compassion, and reform has positioned him as a strong candidate among the cardinals, garnering both admiration and speculation about his potential as the next pope. Born to devout Catholic parents, Tegel demonstrated an early aptitude for spirituality, reportedly reciting the Rosary by the age of 3. His academic journey led him to the Catholic University of America, where his dissertation reflected a forward-thinking approach to church governance. Despite his theological prowess and rising prominence, Tegel has always remained grounded, often opting for public transportation and inviting beggars to dine with him. This humility and personal touch resonate deeply with the faithful, offering a glimpse of what his papacy could represent, a church that is approachable, compassionate, and deeply rooted in service to others. Tegel's leadership style mirrors many of Pope Francis's transformative ideals. He has openly criticized harsh rhetoric against LGBTQ Catholics, advocating for a church that welcomes everyone with open arms. He's also called attention to the dangers of cultural and ethnic divisions, urging churches to become true spiritual homes for all. His progressive stance on social issues and unwavering commitment to addressing the needs of the marginalized have solidified his reputation as a reform-minded leader and a potential torchbearer for Pope Francis's legacy. As the conversation around papal succession intensifies, Tegel stands out as a leading figure among the College of Cardinals. Many see him as a dynamic choice who could bring the Church closer to the developing world. A Tegel papacy would likely focus on shifting attention from Europe to regions grappling with poverty, inequality, and environmental challenges. His deep understanding of the youthfulness and vibrancy of the developing world could redefine the Church's priorities, emphasizing evangelization, social justice, and stewardship of the planet. Tegel's ability to connect with people through new media and his eloquence in addressing complex issues have made him a beloved figure among progressive Catholics. His critics, however, argue that his liberal leanings might provoke resistance from traditionalist factions within the Church. Even so, his supporters believe that his energy and vision could reinvigorate the Vatican, sweeping away old divisions with a focus on unity and progress. In a field of strong candidates, including seasoned cardinals from various corners of the globe, Tegel stands as a beacon of what the future of the Church could become. His unique combination of humility, intellect, and progressive vision makes him a compelling figure in the conversation about Pope Francis's successor, offering the possibility of a papacy deeply attuned to the needs and aspirations of the global faithful. Other papal contenders in the spotlight. As the Catholic Church looks toward its future, several prominent figures have emerged as potential successors to Pope Francis. Other than Tegel, each brings unique strengths and perspectives to the role. Among them are Cardinal Pietro Parolin and Cardinal Peter Turkson, whose leadership styles and visions reflect the diverse challenges and opportunities facing the Church today. Cardinal Pietro Parolin, an Italian diplomat and the current Vatican Secretary of State, is widely regarded as a seasoned expert in global affairs. Appointed by Pope Francis in 2013, Parolin has played a pivotal role in navigating complex diplomatic relationships, including fostering ties between the Vatican and nations like Vietnam, China, and Israel. His contributions to nuclear disarmament talks and his advocacy for peaceful uses of nuclear energy underscore his commitment to promoting global peace and security. With a deep understanding of Latin America, Asia, and Africa, Parolin's expertise extends far beyond Europe, making him a well-rounded and influential figure within the Church. His vision of diplomacy emphasizes prioritizing the weak, the poor, and the marginalized, a mission that aligns closely with Pope Francis's approach. On the other hand, Cardinal Peter Turkson, the Archbishop Emeritus of Cape Coast in Ghana, represents the Church's growing presence in Africa. As the first Ghanaian cardinal, Turkson's contributions to social justice, environmental stewardship, and interfaith dialogue have made him a prominent voice within the global Catholic community. A key architect of the papal encyclical Laudato Si', Turkson has been instrumental in addressing climate change and promoting ecological sustainability. His commitment to uplifting the poor and fostering peace through dialogue reflects a profound dedication to addressing contemporary global issues through faith-based solutions. Turkson's academic credentials, including advanced degrees in theology, divinity, and sacred scripture, further bolster his standing as a capable leader for a church navigating modern challenges. His focus on solidarity, sustainable development, and the empowerment of marginalized communities offers a vision for a church deeply engaged with the needs of the developing world. While Tagle, Parolin, and Turkson stand out as leading contenders, they are joined by other cardinals whose diverse experiences and visions could shape the Church's trajectory. Whether through Parolin's diplomatic acumen or Turkson's passionate advocacy for social and environmental justice, the next pope will likely be someone who can address the pressing issues of our time while carrying forward Pope Francis's legacy of reform and inclusivity. These candidates, each with their distinct qualities, reflect the breadth and depth of the Church's leadership, leaving room for anticipation as the conclave approaches. The Church at a crossroads. The Catholic Church stands at a key moment in history where faith must confront the most pressing global challenges. Climate change and social inequality are more than environmental or economic issues. They are deeply moral crises testing the Church's ability to lead with compassion and conviction. For the next pope, the task is clear but far from simple, addressing these urgent matters while holding together a global institution divided by ideological differences. Climate change has become a reminder of the inequities plaguing our world. The poor are disproportionately affected, bearing the brunt of extreme weather that destroys homes, livelihoods, and entire communities. A farmer losing his crops to drought or a family displaced by a catastrophic flood represents more than personal tragedy. It's a global failure to protect the most vulnerable. Wealthier nations, shielded by their resources, recover more quickly, deepening the chasm between rich and poor. Pope Francis has highlighted this injustice, urging all to see the interconnectedness of environmental degradation and human suffering. For the Church, this is not just a call to action, but a moral imperative to champion the dignity of every human life. At the heart of the issue is a global economy that prioritizes profits over people. The relentless pursuit of growth has left environmental destruction and widening inequalities in its wake. Pope Francis envisions a radically different path, an economy that serves both humanity and the planet, fostering harmony instead of division. It's a bold vision that challenges the very systems many have come to accept as unchangeable. The next pope will need to find ways to turn this vision into meaningful change, inspiring collective action across nations, faiths, and communities. Yet within the Church itself, challenges abound. A growing rift between progressive and conservative factions threatens its unity. Progressives advocate for a church that evolves, addressing modern issues like LGBTQ inclusion, climate justice, and wealth inequality. Traditionalists, on the other hand, fear losing the essence of the Church's teachings in the rush to adapt. The next pope will face the unenviable task of bridging this divide, guiding the Church toward a future that respects its roots while embracing the realities of today's world. This moment is a crossroads not just for the Church, but for humanity. The next leader of the Catholic Church has the potential to shape not only its future, but the fate of a world in desperate need of hope, unity, and action. The Vatican's role in global crisis and internal evolution. As the world confronts a multitude of crises, the Vatican finds itself uniquely positioned at the intersection of spiritual guidance and global diplomacy. Pope Francis has consistently emphasized the Church's responsibility to act as a mediator, leveraging its moral authority to foster peace and solidarity in regions ravaged by war. Internally, Pope Francis has implemented transformative reforms to redefine church governance. Drawing inspiration from his Jesuit roots, he introduced a consultative leadership model that breaks away from traditional hierarchical structures. Central to this shift is the establishment of an advisory council of 8 cardinals tasked with ensuring broader representation and inclusivity in decision-making. This model reflects Francis's vision of a church that listens to diverse voices, making its governance more reflective of its global congregation. Francis's approach to leadership also mirrors his personal growth as a leader. During his tenure as Provincial of Argentina, he often relied on an authoritarian style of decision-making, a practice he later came to regret. As Archbishop of Buenos Aires, he embraced a more collaborative approach, consulting with auxiliary bishops to guide his leadership. These experiences deeply shaped his commitment to synodality, a model of collective decision-making that traces its roots to the Second Vatican Council. By advocating for a church that walks together, Francis has emphasized inclusivity as a cornerstone of governance, a principle that will resonate in the upcoming conclave. Externally, the Catholic Church is witnessing a demographic transformation, with the growth of Catholicism in Africa and Asia. Leaders from these regions are poised to bring fresh perspectives to the papacy. Issues such as poverty, education, and migration, which are deeply relevant to these communities, could take center stage in the Church's global priorities. This demographic shift represents an opportunity for the Vatican to become more representative of its diverse followers while redefining its role in addressing international challenges, balancing its spiritual mission with its evolving responsibilities on the global stage. The Vatican remains an enduring force for change in a rapidly shifting world, whether through reshaping governance or championing peace. Pope Francis's legacy and reforms will influence the Church's trajectory for years to come, setting the stage for his successor to build upon this transformative vision. The weight of Pope Francis's vision. Pope Francis's impact on modern Catholicism is profound and multifaceted. Through his vision of a humble, socially conscious, and inclusive church, he has revitalized the faith of many and expanded the Church's role in addressing contemporary issues. His legacy is one of compassion, justice, and a commitment to the values of humility and service. The world watches with anticipation for further transformative changes that will align the Church closely with the needs and hopes of modern society. In the history of the Catholic Church, few leaders have made such a significant impact as Pope Francis. Since becoming Pope in 2013, he has won the hearts of millions, bringing the Church closer to the issues that matter most today. His influence extends beyond religious matters, addressing social, economic, and political challenges that affect Catholics and non-Catholics alike. He has emphasized that the Church must evolve to better serve the modern world, advocating for social justice, peace, and inclusivity. From the beginning, Pope Francis's choice of name indicated a new direction. He chose St. Francis of Assisi, known for his humility and care for the poor, as his namesake, signaling a papacy rooted in these values. His emphasis on caring for the poor, humility, and social justice connected deeply with Catholics worldwide. His approach to leadership is characterized by decentralizing power, encouraging a greater role for bishops and local communities in decision-making. This has created a more inclusive and participatory governance model. One of the central tenets of Pope Francis's leadership has been his focus on social justice. He has been vocal about economic inequality, calling for global reforms to support the disenfranchised. His encyclical Laudato Si challenges individuals and governments to address environmental issues, emphasizing that caring for the planet is a moral obligation. Additionally, Pope Francis has addressed migration and refugee issues, urging nations to show solidarity with those displaced by conflict and poverty. While maintaining the Church's core teachings, Pope Francis has taken a more progressive stance on issues such as divorce and interfaith dialogue. This has opened up conversations about issues once considered taboo, creating space for compassion and understanding. In response to the sexual abuse crisis within the Church, Pope Francis has made transparency and accountability a cornerstone of his papacy. His zero-tolerance policy on sexual abuse, along with meetings with survivors, demonstrates his commitment to reform. He has emphasized the need for healing and for ensuring such abuses never happen again. Pope Francis's global travels have allowed him to bring his message of love and reform to communities around the world. His efforts to build bridges across religions and cultures have made the Church a more active voice on global issues, emphasizing unity in a divided world. His advocacy for climate change, poverty, and inequality has reinforced the Church's role in addressing contemporary challenges. Despite his progress, Pope Francis faces resistance from conservative factions within the Church. This tension will continue to shape the future of the Church as his papacy nears its end. The question remains whether his successor will uphold his vision and continue to lead the Church toward a more inclusive and socially responsible future. Thank you for watching. Until next time.